style on this one. Holla.
Hello, and welcome to Phases Podcast, the Unpopular Genre. I'm your host. I am Nia. Please be sure to follow me on my social media platforms at @IamNia_. If you're a returning viewer or listener, you already know the vibes and how we get down. So today we're going to be getting into talking about, limited mind frames, and as well as getting into a little bit deeper with just like that self-investment as something that we always kind of really dig into talking about on this podcast. I thought this was just like a really great topic to talk about, considering like where I am at in my life right now, and also recognizing how my own experience with having a limited mind frame, and my lessons that really just have come with discovering myself and exploring more for my life, and just doing things that really just adds to my personal happiness. So I think it's definitely an important conversation to be diving into on here. First, I wanted to speak about the conversation surrounding like what a limited mind frame really even is, right? A limited mindset or mentality is really pretty much the belief that, is the belief that there are limitations in life as to what you can do and what you can accomplish in this lifetime. You can have a limited mind frame no matter how big or small, your goals or the things that you want to do is. Why does it matter, right? Sometimes somebody can think like, what is this even an important conversation to be talking about, right? But I think it matters because when you think about your mind, right, our mind controls everything that we do. Everywhere to the gestures that I'm having right now, my mind is controlling that, me speaking, there's nothing that I can do without my mind being intact or on the same page. And if you think about that, that really does, play a huge role in life, right? If you think about that deeply, your mind will literally allow you to do less or more, depending upon your goals as well as your mental training as well. When we are closed off to wanting more and exploring more in this lifetime, that's motivated by a belief system, and that starts to play a role into, how you were raised and brought up and different things along that spectrum. You can ask yourself to understand, like, what is your base belief system, And I think that also definitely does play a huge role in you understanding yourself as well. Some limited beliefs I wanted to just speak about. Granted, we could probably go on for days, and if you feel like you've had some limited beliefs that I don't mention, definitely be sure to drop them down in the comments section for us to be able to, help the community with this, because this is a really big deal, especially for, I don't want to even just single it off for like younger people, but people with ambition and motivation. Like, this is a very, very good conversation, considering this is what keeps people from, reaching their fullest potential in life. Some believe that God doesn't bless people with much, whether that's success, money, even fame to a certain extent. Sometimes people can like associate that with it being more, I hate to even say that word because it's like what, but more, satanic or demonic, that fact that somebody can be able to do more for themselves and live good in this lifetime and be okay with God too. That's something that people don't believe that God is even possible of blessing them in such a huge way, even though the Bible, we have many examples, of people who've obtained fortune and fame and riches, from God himself, but people, still have their own belief system that they build their life off of. So some believe that if you have attained any other type of fame or money or whatnot, that you sold your soul. I feel like that's also a limited belief, because people will literally believe that unless they sell their soul, that they can't have a satisfying life, when in all actuality that is not the case. Especially when you even look into if you really want to go there, you gotta go there with the research and everything. But that's very much a limited belief, because even when it comes to something surrounding a conversation like that, it's very much more deeper than what the surface level in which people like to just talk about when it comes to that. So yeah, no. Some believe how you start is how you finish. So if I start off and I made mistakes and, I fell short and, fell down and trying to get back up, it's not really possible, and people at that point start to make life-changing choices because they feel like no matter what I do or how I try to maneuver forward, I'll always have to deal with this, dilemma or this circumstance. And that is another limited belief that a lot of people do, I find, struggle with, especially when they're trying to change their narrative, and shift directions and paths in their lives. That's usually like the greatest guilt that holds on to a lot of people. Some believe that there's no need to try to do anything, good for yourself or, things that really does make you happy in this lifetime, since this world is temporary, which it is. We are on borrowed time, as I like to say. We don't know when our last day really is on earth. And sometimes that can be a really, life-changing meditation point, because when you really think about that, some people look at that to be like, oh, I'm going to live life carelessly. That's once again, another limited belief that people have to live their life carelessly just because they're not focusing in on the things that other people may want them to focus on. When in all actuality, we all have our own different paths and purpose in this life, and what's for you will always be for you, and what's not is not going to service you, excuse me. That was a real thing, because, it's not until people are in predicaments where they know that they're dying that they're ready to live their life, And in my opinion, the best time to really take advantage of that is while you have the energy for it. I know when I was younger, like early 20s, bro, like, it really does like make a difference when you have that energy, that youth, that, effort to be able to put into all the things that you're trying to do. And as you do get older, it does change, let alone once you have kids and throw kids into the picture and stuff like that. It will change a lot of things for you. Like even me, I'm going on 28 next year, and it's like, bruh, I really can't even do the things that I used to do to a certain extent, like energy-wise. I used to be able to do so many things, and like now I see like, okay, I literally have to break this thing down a little bit more, versus back before 20s, bro. I used to call it crackhead energy. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like I had the energy to do whatever I wanted to do and some, and then go to sleep, being able to wake back up the next day and be at it. You know what I'm saying? And it pays off, especially since, now me being, a little older, it's like, okay, I'm glad I did do a lot of things that I did do, or could do at that time, because like I said, now is not the time anymore. But the fact that I was able to do it is really what matters, right? Another thing is like when you really see like everybody's, view of life is really based on perception. What perception are you taking advice from, based upon who you're taking it from? What is their perception in it? What's your perception? Because it's very much, you're not going to get too far if, one, you're not solid in your own belief system, who you are, what you're doing. That confidence is so important. And if it's not solid, you'll allow anybody to be able to dictate what you're going to be doing with your life, And there's some people who are well in their older age that unfortunately, may still have that mentality. So that really shows you like it does not automatically shift after a certain age at all. Everything, even with maturity and growth, is based upon the investment in which that person does. It's not something that just ticks, so I'm this age now I'm going to start thinking different. Like, no, you have to invest in yourself and you have to invest in your growth. Other than that, it will not happen. And especially the more you become an adult, you'll see like people get set in their ways. So you don't want to be one of those people that are so set in their ways and didn't even grow yet, because then you're really just like, what are you doing? So that's the greatest fear, at least for myself, that I have. I don't want to get older and be I don't want to say useless, but definitely not as useful as I can be if I just take advantage of everything that I can do right now, right? And another thing is like not everybody we're not even all from or exposed to the same type of environments, you know? So everybody's point of view is really going to be different. And don't even get me started with just like the epiphanies of life that I've been just going through recently. But that's really just one that I've had. Like, everybody has a different point of view. You know, we can agree to disagree, but nobody's going to always think the exact same way. Even when you think about how we all view things, everybody's point of view is going to be different, as it should, due to the fact that we all are given experience from our own upbringing, our own circumstance, our own life experiences majority of the time. One way that people kind of live limited is, you know, by making permanent decisions off of things when they haven't even exposed themselves to all that there is to life. First of all, just even that whole thing of all there is to life, it's impossible to really see all of it. You know, even if you just open your mind up to like a few different avenues of exposing yourself to more and better, it will change just like something so little for you. For example, you have people that will get in a relationship, maybe 1, 2, or 3, you know, and it might not work out the way that they want. Now here we go with, oh, you know, F men or F women, no good men, no good women. You're having this permanent mind frame based upon your experiences, not even considering, well, what could be the reason that I had this experience the way that I did? You know, growth is a big thing, and we can't sit up there and say, oh, you know, what you would have did back then, because you didn't have everything that you have now. You know what I'm saying? To even say like what you would have done then. I guess we will never know, right? And that's the beautiful thing of growth. Like, you're in the moment now to realize, okay, I would have did this different, but you wasn't then. So you don't beat yourself up about things that you did not know, you know? Even with that conversation such as dating, you know, and relationships, don't. And if you are around people that have this mentality, I need you to, you know, maybe check that a little bit, because I'm not want to be like, oh, you know, you can't deal with, but you have to just check the constant thoughts that you're allowing to be put inside of your mind, you know, because people will literally say, you know, be on F these men or F these women or F relationships, period, and y'all just date within the city. You know, you haven't even traveled nowhere to meet nobody good. You know, as I've said before, you can find something decent. It's all about what's your purpose, what's your, you know, what's your intentions. You know, sometimes I feel like the worst connections you'll make is when you're doing stuff out of desperation, you know, and those can sometimes be the experiences that you'll reach, and those would be the ones that hit the worst. But not the worst for you to sit up there and make permanent choices of not dealing with nobody else ever again, but that's supposed to push you to examine yourself as to the why, you know? Fear keeps a lot of us limited. I know from my personal experience, like, fear was the greatest limitation that I had. Fear of what I allow other people to put into my belief system, fear of failure, fear of messing up, all that, fear, you know? And in all actuality, bro, if I can say anything about life lessons, if you're around anybody that looks at failure as a negative way, check yourself, because there is nothing wrong with learning an experience. Sometimes it might be mild, others might be more drastic, but there's nothing wrong with learning an experience. We all fall on our own, you know, we all fall short, you know what I'm saying? We all are growing, we all are learning. The fact that you are able to get down and get back up is the beautiful thing about it, because you'd be amazed at how some people, first situation, first circumstance, first trial, they out, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't have the appropriate view of what growth looks like. And when you think about that, it makes you really see how many people are really stagnant. Because it's like, oh, I don't even want to think about doing that or trying that because I can fail. As if failure is this, you know, permanent, let alone negative thing. So examine that for yourself to understand, once again, what is your belief system? What do you believe in that's controlling and dictating your moves? And another thing is like you're limited to what you're exposing yourself to as well. You know, if somebody never tastes or was brought up vegan, for example, never had meat a day in their life, guess what? They'll never be exposed to even know how it is in their system, what it tastes like, so forth and so on. Now, granted, can you say that it might have benefits to them not doing so? Of course, you know, but at the same time, that was also something that they just have not been exposed to even be able to make the determination of that. Sometimes even having that mentality scares people because it's like, oh, especially like more of a religious, you know, background, or people that keep like extremist views of religion. I feel like, you know, people look at exploring or curiosity as a bad thing, you know, when in all actuality, there's a difference between curiosity and promiscuous, or being promiscuous, you know, like explore. You know, God did not set all this stuff on this earth for us to just sit up here and stay on the rim of where everybody's comfort level is. Like, no, be your own individual, do the things that feel good to you, and you'll learn if this is for you or not by what comes after, you know, but you gotta be willing to put yourself out there, you know, and if you're a person that, once again, once you're starting with yourself anyway, you're not going out here just making any choices, you know, or just doing anything carelessly. But that's a fear that sometimes I feel like people push out there, on people because they're just scared, or they feel like, you know, it can always go south. It can go south with anything. Anything you do can have a negative impact, you know, but in all actuality, don't just allow the negative to be the only reason that you stay from it. What if you started thinking about some of the positive outcomes that could come with that? Then what, you know? You be amazed of what a little shift in your mentality, what it can really do for you, you know? I was just thinking the other day, like how limited you are making yourself be, especially if you're in your 20s and you're sitting up here with that no new friends nonsense. You know, I will never be a no nothing, you know, because I'm a person that has always been open to more, you know, granted I'm more mature and I've gone through many experiences that has helped me to be able to learn people and understand the type of people to be around and the ones to not be around. So it makes me a little bit more discerning when it comes to what I get myself involved in, but never would I ever recommend somebody to not do something off the strength of a bad experience. You know, we all are going to go through negative experiences, and baby, if I could tell you, I'm definitely going to have to, you know, be sharing more, you know, experience, especially in the friend department, because baby, I got stories for days. But I just will never limit. And, you know, if you know my story, I speak a lot about, you know, my previous religion and faith and things of that nature. And, you know, for me, a lot of growth had to happen in the sense of I had to go for more and find more and be open to more, because a lot of what I had was unfortunately lost. You know, you can't take everybody where you're going, and everybody's not built to come along with you, you know. And as well, we all have our own life, you know. You can't control what another person does, but you also cannot allow that to make you not live your life in the way that you need to because of fear of losing people. Even when you just think about how evolving life is, it makes you think like, okay, when you do find people that are solid and that's your friends or family members that you can literally or have gone through ups and downs with and come back every time, those are relationships to cherish. You know, those are relationships to kind of invest in because they are rare. You know, it's not every day you will get to find those type of friendships. So they are to be cherished due to the fact that the way that we evolve and grow and how, you know, unforeseen circumstances can be, not everybody's going to be there, and not everybody's going to be able to, you know, make it through with you, you know. And I just really want to encourage people to just like very much don't live with that negative, no, not being open to more, you know, because you're really creating a very limited life for yourself, I feel, when you start to do that. So stay open, stay, you know, open to more, because that never said, or that never meant you have to go into any situation and give of yourself. Once again, you have to evaluate what type of person you are, because if you're suited and booted and making the right choices with discernment and who you're around, you're not going to even be around somebody that's going to do any damage in that nature. Now, granted, that doesn't speak to you not getting hurt, but once you learn to protect yourself emotionally, you'll learn what to give and what to hold back sometimes, at least to a certain period of time. It's all about discernment and wisdom when it comes to stuff like that, especially if you've gone through poor relationships, or friendships. And this world really, it doesn't evolve around you, meaning you don't have to wait for the world and other people to be on one accord with what you have going on. Your purpose is your purpose, and that's why it was given to you to pursue. And it took me a while to really learn what that was, and to take people's, perception of what I should be doing out of my head. But what I will say is, once I did it and consistently was, worked at it, the way I felt was the confirmation. It's nothing you can tell me otherwise. Why? Because I feel it, I know it to be true. So you have to sometimes prove it to yourself, in order to bust out the seams of a limited mindset, And the choice is yours, for real, for real. The reality of life is it's going to go on regardless if you choose to do what you want to do in this life or if you don't. So that's another scary, but definitely something to think about. Regardless if I do what I want to do to make myself happy, life will go on. And that's really what happens, And so you kind of have to go on and figure out what way you're trying to, go in this life to really live your life limitlessly, So that was really what I wanted to dive into today. Please be sure again to connect with me on my socials. And without any further ado, I will see you in the next episode.